Hello, and welcome to the Lockdown Learning Podcast, a show that explores topics related to home education during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm your host, Kate Coleman, a mother to 3 boys and a staff member at a self-directed school in the UK called East Kent Sudbury School.
And I'm your other host, Mark Gallivan, a parent and a staff member at a Sudbury school in Colorado, USA called Alpine Valley School. Today's episode is all about play. It's something that's come up several times on other episodes, especially the ones focused on how children learn from home. But it is such an important topic, we thought it deserved its own interview.
With children learning from home, some parents have been concerned by all of the unstructured play their children have been doing. They may be building castles in Minecraft, but are they actually learning anything? We have some good news for you. They are.
Playing is an absolutely essential process for children, and one that our society has downplayed enormously in the past few decades. Fortunately, that has not been the case at the Summerhill School in the UK, which has been a haven of play and independence for children for over 100 years.
Today, we interview Henry Readhead, Deputy Principal at Summerhill and grandson to A.S. Neal, the school's founder. Henry has been involved in democratic education for most of his life, and he has lots of thoughtful insights to share on the subject. Helping us with the interview today is East Kent Sudbury School staff member Kezia Cantwell-Wright. You may remember Kezia from our last episode on democratic education.
Henry is a joy to talk to and embodies the playful spirit that I really needed to help my own growth as a parent. Here is Kezia's interview with Henry.
Hi, my name is Kezia. I'm a staff member and founder at East Kent Sudbury School, and I'm joined here today by Henry Readhead.
Yeah, hello everybody. Hi, my name's Henry Readhead. I'm the Deputy Principal at Summerhill School. I was also a pupil at the school, and I've taught for many years there as well. So I've had many years' experience of Summerhill.
I want to kick off by pulling out this quote that is in one of the Summerhill kind of principle statement to allow children to be completely free to play as much as they like. Why is that such an important aim at Summerhill?
I mean, so that's absolutely one of the core sort of principles of Summerhill School is to allow children to have the freedom. And that freedom is so that children can and are free to play as much as they want. The main element of that actually is that children are, when they're completely free in natural play, they're directly connected to their own instinctual development needs. And this works in the social situation, it works in, from their imaginations. So actually pure, natural, kind of undisturbed play is vitally important.
Totally. When children haven't had unlimited play and then suddenly you give them an hour of freedom or something, typically like a party or something like that. And then, of course, they all go crazy and the parents go, see, this is what, And I think that I'm a little bit concerned about what's going to happen after the lockdown because there's going to be a lot of pent-up energy. I'm hoping like maybe a week-long camp. Something else that you say that's really important, I know at Summerhill, is this idea that play belongs to the child and that it shouldn't be redirected or taken over by adults. I wondered if you could say something about why you think that adults shouldn't get in the way.
It's a very important statement, actually. I think what happens is that people think of the period of time of childhood that really, especially when they're really powerfully playing, people then think, okay, well, that's then development. So then if we then think of all of these sorts of different areas that they want to develop in, if we make it in a playful way, then they will then progress, they will use their skills. What's more important is that the child's connection to their own instinctual and that they own it, that's part of personal development, a deep part of personal development. Because sometimes there's situations where Parents might feel that they need to be involved, otherwise the child won't develop, or the child might be doing the, or a perfect example of it is that a child might be lounging around and looking at a screen or something like that, and the parents thinking that they need to be active, they need to be doing something. We need to activate their brains and stimulate them all the time, and giving them bits and pieces. But actually, that time of closure, or that time of whatever the child is doing at that time, is a very, very powerful and very important moment for that child. And it's really important for all of us, I think, anybody working with children, to be very aware of the importance of a child having time on their own and being themselves. It's a very important topic for us at Summerhill. And we love the fact that children are off in their world of fantasies, and then they come to us when they want to, it's important that the environment has lovely learning facilities, and we have teachers, and we have the different classroom areas. You have woodwork and music and arts, and we have all of the wonderful academic subjects. We've got everything, but it's all just left with non-compulsion, so that they have that wonderful relationship to it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, as soon as you dress something up, you make it not appealing for its own sake, don't you? And my children have certainly discovered the beauty of things like maths and numbers through playing a game like Minecraft, but they didn't play Minecraft to discover maths. But it's so different to when they're doing something and then you happen to notice that, oh, look, they're using numbers, and then you pounce on that as like, oh, the teachable moment. What can we? And they're like a sniffer dog. They know what you're up to, and instantly the activity loses all attraction that it previously had, because they instinctively feel that they've been hijacked.
All the time things are happening, and it's amazing when you let things happen very naturally and start to observe it to a certain extent from that perspective. You actually sort of think, wait a minute, am I actually needed? As a teacher, you sort of think, wait a minute, actually, I'll be here if you want me. That often there's so much happens kind of through.
Something that I noticed watching my children grow and learn was that academic learning, or the kinds of things that we think of as the stuff of school, doesn't seem to be that difficult to learn, either when it happens incidentally or when they decide to focus their attention on it. But they seem to put most of their time into what I guess we might call like social and emotional development. Things like, why is it when I keep poking you, eventually you explode? And that's the stuff that they seem to focus most of their time on. I wondered if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. At Summerhill School, social emotional development is absolutely the foundation stone. That's what comes first. Summerhill is purely non-compulsion throughout the whole time, so children literally can play their whole time throughout the school. But that non-compulsion means, A, that you get this wonderful, beautiful sort of positive attitude towards learning, but also the learning relationship within the classroom. Because the attitudes, teachers at Summerhill always say that it's just phenomenal, that children, they're there, they're like sponges, they're ready, they want to know more. They haven't got any sort of hierarchical issues or pressures being put on them and all of these sort of things. They've got that beautiful breathing space. The other area is exactly that. It's exactly the fact that children need, through all of their years, of those younger years of development, that social and emotional development is a hugely, hugely powerful part. When children are stressed, when they feel pressured, they're not gonna have positive relationships to learning. They're not gonna have very positive relationships to their friends and their social situation, and they're not gonna feel good about themselves. But also, it kind of interlinks right back to the first thing when talking about play. At Summerhill, we don't look at play just being the little tiny children who are bumbling and bombling around and trampolines and killing dragons and all the other wonderful worlds of fantasies that children come up. But it's also actually, play also goes into the 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17. They're playing, but in a very different way. And it's very, lots of it is social interaction. It's banter. They're sort of pushing boundaries with each other. They're discovering each other. So that it's really important not to kind of separate to a certain extent that period of time. It's really important to realize that that's from our perspective, we actually look at that as is also being play. It's a very different way, but it's instinctual. It's very powerful human instinct and parts of those developmental processes.
We often talk about this playful attitudes to life.
Well, that sort of creativity, it's all sort of fundamentally sort of connected to play. And I mean, I love to think more that we don't grow out of childhood and become and move into adulthood. Childhood actually just comes with us all the way. It's absolutely fundamentally a part of who we actually are. And so it's not that you necessarily grow out of it. You get more mature and you get more wise and you get more experienced in your world. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you've come to this stage where you've suddenly crossed the border into something called adulthood, which means you're a different person. But that's not actually how it works. Summerhill is now 100 years old. It's the oldest children's democracy in the world. ASNIL, my grandfather who founded the school, it wasn't necessarily about education of why he created the school. It's more about us as human beings, what's actually right for us as human beings, and what is it that we need. And things like natural play, trust. I mean, to give freedom is to give trust, and to give trust is to give love. And, the interlinking with all of these things, it's fundamental for humanity.
That does it for this episode of the Lockdown Learning Podcast. We would love to hear your feedback, as well as any other suggestions you have for future episodes. You can contact the show via email at lockdownlearningpodcast@gmail.com. We're coming to the end of our short series soon, so if you have any specific topics that you want to make sure we cover, please do let us know.
If you'd like to learn more about the Summerhill School or our guest, Henry Readhead, there will be links to many different resources in the show notes. And as always, you can learn more about the self-directed democratic schools that Kate and I are involved in by visiting our websites. East Kent Sudbury School is online at ekss.org.uk, and Alpine Valley School is at alpinevalleyschool.com.
As I said, there are only a few episodes of our show left before the end of the series. We're trying to wrap things up by sharing information that parents might find useful when facing life post-lockdown. And with that in mind, we want to share some additional resources for parents of children with special needs.
As the parent of a child on the autism spectrum, I know firsthand that mainstream education is not built to accommodate my child's free spirit and unique mind. I look forward to learning more about the subject together.
Look for that episode coming next week. Thanks for listening today. I'm Kate.
And I'm Mark. And this is the Lockdown Learning Podcast. Until next time, remember to take a deep breath, hug your kids, and pat yourself on the back because we know you absolutely deserve it. Be well.